You know, I realize it's been a long time since I talked about games that I've been playing in general, that I didn't hyper focus on one video game for the sake of a video, but again, instead talked about a wide range of video games that I just so happen to be playing. And that's what I want to do in today's video. I want to just talk about games that I've been playing in January, but I'm also curious what games you've been playing in January. So let me know in the comments what you've been playing. Have you been playing a new release? I'm really curious if you are, because January has been a dead month. There's been practically no new video games to talk about, but on the bright side, I kind of like months like this because it gives me time to just settle in and go to my backlog and play a video game I've always wanted to play, or play more of a game that I started way back then but never got time to finish. But the main game that I've been playing in January, and I'm not going to talk about it a lot here because I just did a season review, and that's Marvel Rivals. That game has practically eaten and stolen all of my time. I'm really, really loving it. And if you haven't watched it yet, you should go check out my season 1 review, but that's all I'm going to talk about for Marvel Rivals in this video. But when it comes to other video games, the single player game I've been playing the most this month is, believe it or not, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. I played this game. I never beat it, but I played this game in 2016, I believe, so almost a decade ago. It's insane to think that that was almost a decade ago. But I had a lot of fun in my time spent in this game. But again, I never beat it. And my brain has been kind of mush this month. I haven't really wanted to play anything that required a lot of thought, that required a lot of strategy, that required just a lot of my brain power. I wanted something that was equally just turn your brain off fun, but also felt like I was getting at least something of substance, so I wasn't just completely wasting my time. And that's when I realized I never beat Shadow of Mordor. So I decided to start this game over, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's not, so far, I'm only about 5 hours into it on my current playthrough, and so far, it's not as good as I remember it being, but it's still really, really fun. And the Nemesis system in that game is phenomenal, and it's an absolute travesty that Warner Brothers doesn't utilize that system more in some of their other video games. But I'm actually considering making a dedicated long video for this game once I beat it, what it's like to return to Shadow of Mordor almost a decade later, if it's still worth playing. But I love the world of Lord of the Rings, and I want to play more Lord of the Rings games. I'm really looking forward to Tales of the Shire when that comes out, and I want to play that Return to Moria game, the game where you're like a dwarf and you're in the mines of Moria and you're like rebuilding. It's kind of like a strategy world city builder sort of thing. But I don't own either of those games yet, but I do own this one, and that's another reason why I wanted to play it. And again, this game should not be slept on. If you never played this, it's definitely worth it, especially since it's on sale all the time now. It's a little rough in the story, it's a little rough in the pacing, and now that, again, it's almost a decade later, it is starting to show its age just a little bit, and that's something I wasn't expecting, but still, overall, I'm having a really good time with this game. And I'm not a huge fan of Warner Brothers games with this sort of combat. You know the combat I'm talking about, where you basically mash one button over and over, usually the square button if you're playing on PlayStation, and you just auto attack people, and then you see triangle appear and you just dodge as long as you hit triangle. Well, it's telling you to hit triangle. You know the Arkham games and the Mad Max video game. Now, I'm not well versed in the Arkham video games. I've only played Batman Arkham Asylum, and I think that game was a good foundation, a good first step for that sort of combat, though I wasn't the biggest fan of it. And I know a lot of people think the Mad Max game is underrated, and in some instances, I completely agree. I think the car gameplay and the car combat is really, really fun, but that game overall, I think, is actually overrated. It's one of the most repetitive games that I've ever played in my life, and still I'm not the biggest fan of that sort of combat. But for some reason, in this video game, in Shadow of Mordor, I really like that combat. I think it matches the world. I think it matches the tone. The fact that this is a fantasy game and you're playing as this trained swordsman makes that gameplay seem a bit more realistic, and it seems a bit more appropriate for this setting, for this character in this world. But also combining that combat with the Nemesis system and you swapping between the main character and the elf spirit that lives inside of him, just little flourishes like that make that gameplay a lot more fun and welcoming for me personally. Another game that I've been playing in January, I've actually been playing this one a lot. I finally got around to playing it, and that's Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I actually reviewed the campaign for this game when it came out back in October or November, I believe. But I played the campaign on Xbox Game Pass. I never bought the game, but finally this month I decided to buy a physical copy of the game for the PlayStation 5, and I decided to finally try the multiplayer because I heard good things about it, but I also heard bad things about it. I used to love Call of Duty growing up. Like anyone in my age demographic that plays video games, I practically grew up with Call of Duty, and I buy the new one every single year. And I used to love them. But it's been quite a long time since I really enjoyed multiplayer in Call of Duty. It just kind of feels robotic to me now. Like I'm just going through the motions, like I'm just designed and programmed to buy and play Call of Duty without thoroughly enjoying it. Though I know I'm in the minority here, I did like Modern Warfare 3 last year more than most people, mainly because I just love those old school maps. The old maps from the original Modern Warfare 2 way back in 2009. Those are my favorite Call of Duty maps ever, so I really loved last year's game because I got to play on those maps again. But not including Modern Warfare 3 from last year, I actually think that this is probably my favorite Call of Duty in several years. Probably 4 or 5 years. I don't think I like the multiplayer as much as Cold War, which came out in 2020, I believe. But since Cold War, I think it's my favorite. The pacing seems really good. Now, me personally, I'm more of a fan of Call of Duty multiplayer combat that's a bit more slow, a bit more tactical, which is another reason why I liked last year's game a lot. I still like the fast-pacedness of the Black Opses and the Vanguards and stuff like that, though it's not my preferred way to play. Now, this game definitely is more fast-paced in terms of Call of Duty gameplay, but I actually like it a lot in this one because it somehow manages to balance fast-pacedness with also strategy. Like, it doesn't feel like you just spawn, die, spawn, die, spawn, die, get a kill, die, get a kill, die over and over again like Call of Duty often does. It often feels like as long as you use a little bit of brain power, you can actually exist in the game a little bit. You can actually, again, use strategy. And then on top of that, I think the maps in this game are actually really good. I think most Call of Duty games have shit maps, at least these days. Again, I know I'm probably in the minority here, but last year's Call of Duty, the new maps that they created for that game with each update, I actually really liked. But besides that, I haven't loved pretty much any new Call of Duty maps in several years, but these maps are actually good. They provide a good variety of gameplay. They're designed pretty well. I wish there were some more maps that were designed for snipers and more long-range combat, but besides that, the maps are pretty memorable, and I like that. Another single-player game that I've been chipping away at lately this month, and I've talked about this on this channel already, but that's Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm really liking this game. Again, I'm not going to get into too much detail because I already talked about this game on this channel several times, but I wanted to play this game and have it beaten by the time Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 came out so I could review it day one on this channel. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because this game is taking a lot longer than I thought it would, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm actually taking my time. I'm not rushing this game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I like playing as Henry. I love existing in this world, and I just don't want to rush it at all. I genuinely think that this could be a top 15, maybe top 20 game of all time for me by the time the credits roll. And I still plan on talking about this in more detail on this channel eventually. I'm going to create a video about me experiencing it for the first time, though again, I don't think I'm going to be able to talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 when it releases on its launch day, but still, eventually at some point this year, I think I'll be able to. Now that's it for games that I own that I'm actively playing right now, but there are some games that are coming out later in January that I will be playing. The first is Orcs Must Die Deathtrap. It's coming out on the Xbox Series X, and I think it's going to be on the Game Pass. That's going to be a day one download for me, and I'm going to review it on this channel. Another game that's coming out later this month is Sniper Elite Resistance. I've never played a Sniper Elite game before, though they do look really fun to me. I've always wanted to try one of those, and I'm definitely going to play and review that game when it comes out too, and I'm just really looking forward to that because you've probably noticed it's been quite a while since I did a day one review on this channel. But the end of January, going into February, the game releases are actually going to start picking up, and I'm really looking forward to that. I need to look forward to that because, my God, my brain has been in like decline mode this month. But anyway, those are the games that I'm playing in January. Again, let me know what you're playing in the comments down below because I'm really curious what people play in the months where there's not many new releases. Also, if you haven't heard, if you didn't watch my announcement video from a couple weeks ago, I launched a second channel, and on that channel, I'll be talking about movies and TV shows, mostly movies, mostly in the horror genre, and I'm really looking forward to discussing movies again. If you've been on this channel long enough, you'll know I used to talk about movies all the time. I just don't do it on this channel anymore. It doesn't make sense for the algorithm, though I've missed talking about movies, and I'll be doing it again on that channel. The link for it will be in the description. I really hope you subscribe over there, and again, I just look forward to talking about movies again. But don't worry, this is still going to be my main channel. I love video games. I love talking about video games. I love the community that we've been building on this channel, and it's definitely not going anywhere. I'll definitely be posting a lot on that channel as well, but still, this is my primary channel, so don't worry, content won't be slowing down, especially, again, with new video game releases finally coming out. But anyway, thank you for watching this video, especially if you watched this far.